Okay, we'll call the Wednesday, September 12th, 2018 meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Supervisor Glabe.
Here.
Schott.
Here.
Patterson.
Here.
Trustee Glabe.
Here.
Lazier.
Here.
Katie here. McLennan.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Item 4, approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Support. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 5 is approval of the consent agenda.
So moved. Support.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Schott.
Yes.
Patterson.
Yes.
Trustee Glabe.
Yes.
Lazier.
Yes.
Katie, yes. McLennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Glabe.
Yes. We'll open up the meeting to any brief public comments. Anybody wishing to come forward, please do at this time. Seeing Mr. Belton?
These are related to agenda items?
Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name's Mary Collins. I'm assuming that there won't be any action on the bridge because of this strike by steel workers or whoever the heck they are. Nobody knows?
I'll make a comment on that in my report.
Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to come forward? Okay, well, moving on. Takes us to item 10A under new business, which is a quote for technology upgrade. Clerk Katie?
Yes, sir. We have several workstations in the township that are pretty old. They're under-equipped to run the newest version of Microsoft Windows, which is 10. And our BS&A software, which runs our treasury, accounting, and our accounts payable systems. The biggest issue we noticed was at the treasury counter, where it was taking extremely long times for the software to catch up with the input, coming from the keyboard or the mouse, resulting in a lot of residents having to wait for a while for it to process and print out a receipt. So there's a total of 13 that our IT company, IT Right, recommended we upgrade immediately. There's about another 20 that I think they're going to be okay, just some software upgrades down the road. This would be probably our biggest technology upgrade that we need at the Township Hall, and it should put us in a real good position for at least the next 5 to 7 years going forward. So with that being said, I'd like to make a motion to approve the attached quote to upgrade the 13 workstations, the EMS, which is a state election computer, the replicator for the qualified voter system.
Support.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 10B is a distracted driving ordinance presented for first reading this evening. Mr. Foley?
Yeah, currently our ordinance is a secondary ordinance as far as distracted driving, where you can only be cited if you are pulled over for something else, and then you can be cited for distracted. It was the request of the police department that we look at making it a primary offense because of the concerns that they have throughout with traffic enforcement and other things, people putting on their makeup and eating hamburgers and everything as their car goes 70 miles an hour down the highway. So they asked us to update that, and this does that.
A motion to approve that change for a first reading.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Patterson.
Yes.
Trustee Glabe.
Yes.
Lazier.
Yes.
Katie, yes. McLennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Glabe.
Yes.
Schott.
Yes.
Item 10C is an update to the purchasing and payment policy. The materials in your board, pretty self-explanatory. We have some updates and changes to our existing way we conduct those items. Unless there's any discussion, a motion would be in order.
So move. Support.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Oh, wait,
Go on.
wait.
On the micro purchase, that is 10,000 or less, and then anybody in the potential could do that?
The micro purchases would only be $1 to $3,500 could be approved by a department director, and then $3,500 to $10,000 would have to be the clerk, treasurer, supervisor, and then anything over that would be not considered a micro purchase anymore. It would have to go either for,
So in other items, micro purchase, any expenditure 10,000 or less is not in effect now in definitions?
no, it is, it's considered a micro purchase or a micro expense. However, the approval for that is different now. There's two layers of approval that's needed instead of just the one. So currently, a department director could approve up to a $10,000 purchase. That's now being changed, which would require an elected official to also approve that.
You need 2 signatures to do that. Is that what you're telling me?
2 levels, yep. Mhm.
Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 10D is a quote for repair to the handicap accessibility ramp at the historical house. Clerk Katie.
Yes, sir. The quote is included from the only company that we could get to place a bid. We did reach out to 3. 2 initially were willing to quote, and then at the last minute, one of them said that it just didn't, they weren't interested in doing the quote. The ramp on the historical museum has some safety issues with it. It was made with just regular wood. It wasn't treated, so it's starting to, there's a couple spots that at any time it seems like they're gonna break loose. The handle on it is pretty wobbly, and we've tried tightening it. We tried adding braces. It's just, it's old wood. So we're looking to upgrade it to a plastic. It would match the same one that we have on the one-room schoolhouse in Waltz. So, as far as weathering, I mean, we'll never have to replace this again. This should be the last one we ever put on it unless it's physically damaged somehow. But the biggest reason to do it is for a safety issue.
So moved.
Support. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Item 10E is the DPW Cold Storage Building Bid Award Recommendation. Mr. Parker?
Mr. Gleason, Council, what you have before you is the bid tab that we put together from the 4 bids that we did receive. The bid tab shows that there was a base bid, which included the building itself, which is blocked with a shingled roof on it, and a crane system running throughout the whole every bay, so that you could slide any equipment from one end to the other on a continuous crane rail. Based on some initial observations on the cost of the crane, we also asked for an alternate that they submit for a mobile crane, just a single unit that could be moved from one bay to another. And another alternate was to include a metal roof on the building. So based on the bids, Elgin Building Company was the low bid, and based on their deduction, their bid was $231,122, and we were looking to also add a 10% contingency onto that, just for any unknowns that may come up with excavation, utilities, and things like that. So it would bring the new total to $254,234. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Any question, Mr. Parker?
Yep.
Okay.
Would that be done this year, or would that be a after winter project?
They're ready to break ground right now.
Okay. Very good. Thanks, Ray. Motion would be in order.
I'll make a motion to award the DPW cold storage building project to Elgin Building Company in the amount of $231,122 as presented.
With the contingency up to 254,
With the-
234.
With the contingency up to $254,234.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Support. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Item 10F, we have budget amendment resolution in your packet. As we get down to the end of the year, we have some adjustments to the budget, which is fairly customary. So motion would be in order.
So moved.
Support. Should we do a roll?
Roll call, please.
Trustee Glade?
Yes.
Lazier?
Yes.
Katie, yes. McLennan?
Yes.
Supervisor Glade?
Yes.
Shant?
Yes.
Patterson?
Yes. Item 10G, we have a couple of vacancies on the Historical Commission, and we have in front of you 2 recommendations, one Melanie Shepler and then Jessica Millerwise. They're dates of their appointments are stated in the packet. Motion would be in order to approve these two ladies.
Motion to approve?
Support. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. 10H is a permit application for fireworks for the Huron High School.
Yes, sir. This is, was an application put in by the high school for their fireworks, for their homecoming halftime show. It has been approved by both police and fire personnel and their leadership. I'd like to make a motion to approve their permit for their fireworks.
Support.
Yeah, moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 10I is a concurrence with the petitioner's request for a declaratory ruling regarding the MDEQ's lead and copper rules. In your materials, there's, as it's highlighted, a request from the Great Lakes Water Authority that serves Huron Township and many southeast Michigan communities, as well as Oakland County. And as you've read in your materials, this is a request to affirm their wanting to kind of halt the implementation of these new revised regulations with the idea that there'd be more information and input forthcoming that wasn't really part of the initial process. And there's also some challenges to the way the MDEQ is attempting to implement these regulations. So this is kind of more of a process issue than it is the actual substance, although there is substance underlying the initial arguments. But even though Huron Township wouldn't be impacted as many of our neighboring communities would, I believe this is kind of an important item to support the authority on to make sure that these regulations are implemented with the full amount of input and consideration as possible.
Make a motion to approve the submission of the concurrence with the petitioner's request for declaratory ruling regarding the MDEQ's lead and copper rules. Second.
Why don't we do a roll call on that?
This discussion, please.
Sure.
I read through all these papers, and as far as I saw, they just want to change. They're concerned about all the changes that have to be done in the community. And all they want to do is change from 15 parts per billion to 12. So that's 3 parts per billion is what they wanted to go down to, making our water even a little safer. But if they need to do more studies on this, then that's fine with me. But as far as I see, it's just 3 parts per billion.
However, in order to do that, they didn't go and outline, when they're making mandates like that, who's paying for that? Is this going to go, the homeowner's responsible from their house to the road? Are they able to do that? Who's going to pay for a lot of this? I think there's gonna be a lot of communities that may owe thousands upon thousands of dollars, and when they start to mandate things and don't have no answer to us of how that's going to be paid for, I think that they need to do a little bit more studying and more input. It's a good idea. I'm not opposed to the idea of making it lower. It's just their process.
Where would they be taking this reading from? Right at the plant that distributes it, or at the homeowner?
I don't know.
Well, that's a little bit more in the weeds in terms of that, but more to the treasurer's point, much of it is how they're getting from point A to point B. This new mandate is, again, as she correctly points out, unfunded. So potentially, communities will have to come up with tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars that, quite frankly, they just don't have. That includes a lot of communities that are already in bankruptcy or just coming out of emergency management. It also puts their entire utility system at risk for perhaps negligible, if any, measured improvement at all. And that's at the heart of the contest here. Is there's a lot of answers that haven't been addressed, or questions that haven't been addressed yet in the process. So what this basically is doing, kind of slowing the process down and making sure that if these standards are to be implemented, it can be done in a way that won't bankrupt communities, and that the net gain certainly outweighs some of these other negative effects that communities will suffer as a result of that.
Yeah, it's a good idea. It is truly a good idea. It's just their process, like David said, it's,
Because all this contamination could come from internally within everybody's residence.
I don't think in Huron we have any issue at all. We get our water report and we're always well below, even the 12.
Yeah.
So,
Any other discussion? Okay, been moved and seconded. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Item 10J is a continuation from the last meeting where I believe it was tabled. Trustee Patterson had brought up the concept of addressing perhaps the Pinnacle property being removed from the LDFA jurisdiction. Had a chance to talk with Trustee Patterson on that. Would be my suggestion that we kind of conduct a little, I'd say a workshop, if you will, where all the necessary parties get together and we can address some of the issues and concerns and decide whether or not that's something that, we want to pursue. Yeah, that would be my suggested course of action. And if that's the way the board would like to approach it, I think a motion to that effect would be in order.
Well, as the board rep to the LDFA, I think it makes a lot of sense to gather a lot more information. Workshop would absolutely be necessary, in my opinion, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, I just got a few questions. The Pinnacle took effect in 2002, so for 16 years, we had a racetrack that went defunct. We had a faulty sewer system. We got a clubhouse that was probably 8 years old. They tore that down. Wayne County bought all those homes out with that noise mitigation. So 16 years, we got all that empty land looking there. I'm wondering, Metro Park's got 4,000 acres in our township. Cemeteries are off the tax roll. It's time our residents should get some relief, I think. So, and Wayne County sold 7 acres to a casino right in the center of the Pinnacle property. We already got property in LDFA 1 that's not being developed yet. There's spots there left. 320 acres there in Wayne County. The question arises, what mechanisms for funding or something? We're in Aerotropolis. What other funding mechanism?
Well, I think those are all legitimate questions, and I would think that those are just the kind of questions that
That's some of the issues I have.
Sure,
so.
and I think those are the kind of things that we would definitely want to address at a separate workshop, and I think that's well worth our time. And so we'll, if that's the board's pleasure, I would recommend that we'll put something on the calendar and we'll meet and discuss those issues as well as others, so.
I would support that.
Okay. You have a motion to that effect?
Sure, I would move to motion to create a subcommittee or workshop regarding the LDFA Pinnacle property to gather further information.
Okay, moved and seconded.
Support.
Okay. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Item 10K is a quote for a high-speed scanner. Clerk Katie?
Yes, sir. So around the end of 2016, I think it was, the previous clerk, through a state program that the state of Michigan rolled out, they kind of shoved some equipment down our throat for the new election processes they wanted local clerks to follow. This past August was the first real run that equipment had, and there was definitely some issues with it, especially when it came to reading the absentee ballots that came back that were folded. And so all of a sudden they decided that, oh, well, that probably wasn't the best equipment. This is the one we should have recommended. So rather than buying it through the state's vendors, which would almost triple the price of the package, somewhere around, I think it was almost $19,000, $20,000, I found a company, CDWG, that was gonna give us the state bid price, so we can get the scanner for $6,300. And it should double the capacity of the old one, so we're looking at about 60 ballots a minute. So in theory, the whole reasoning for this would be to speed up the counting of the absentee ballots. That seems to always be the delay on getting the results out, because the precincts wirelessly transmit back to the main replicator computer that we just voted to upgrade. So that's no issue getting those results from the precincts, but it's always the AV. It takes so long to open them, sort them, check for any that need to be duplicated, and then run them through the scanner. And the scanner that the state recommended we all buy, 2 years ago is just not adequate to do it. It's too small, it can't handle the folds. So my motion would be to purchase this larger, faster scanner as presented in the quote.
Support.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Last item under new business is appointment to the Huron River Watershed Council. We are a member of this particular council, Huron Township is, and I've represented the township in the past on this, asking you to appoint me to fill that vacancy. There's a brief description of the Huron River Watershed in your packet. So to that end, a motion would be in order.
I'll make a motion to,
I'll support.
Okay, any discussion?
yeah, I just think it's good that we get one of our own people on there, because there's something going on now with all the different chemicals that are mysteriously appearing, and so I think it's important we actually have somebody that can sit at the table and hear the information firsthand.
Well, yeah, I think it's important we have a place at the table, and beyond the kind of the environmental issues that revolve around the river and our location on it. Another matter of interest, I know, to many of our board members are some of the economic development opportunities and the ability to interact and converse with those who also are members or either direct members or tangentially or relate to this council is very important too. And a lot of exciting things happening in communities that are on the river, and having discussions with most of you on the board. I think we're all in agreement that we could be doing more ourselves and taking advantage of that natural resource. So this is just another, I think, another good entity to be associated with in that regard as well. So all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. We'll open up the meeting to brief public comments. Hello, Melanie.
Good evening. Melanie Shepler. I want to thank you all for the appointment to the Historical Commission. I appreciate your faith in me, and thank you.
We appreciate you continuing to serve. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jessica Millerwise, and I wanted to thank you guys for putting me on the commission for the Historical Commission. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Candace Myshak, Historical Commission. I have a couple of things. First of all, I want to thank the board very much for the replacement of the porch at the museum. It's very needed. We are really pushing and hoping to possibly have it done by Apple Fest. So no promises right now. As soon as we can find out, we'll know that. Also, welcome to our new commissioners. Glad to have them on board. I also want to take a moment. We hosted a a vintage and farmers market this past Saturday in collaboration with the Huron Parks and Rec. It was a huge success. It was really wonderful. So we just wanted to thank everybody from both of those commissions who came out, set up, tore down, put up flyers for us. Special thanks to John Chaunt for allowing us to use his trailer. I wanted to thank Melanie, who was not part of either of those commissions and stood by us through it all. Also, just a nice thank you out to the local businesses who allowed us to put flyers in their place, to any of the local vendors that are watching that came out, and to all the people that came out and patronized their booths. We had about 30 participants. Everybody pretty much walked away with something out of the market that day. So it was hugely successful. We held it at Lako Park, and we're looking forward to doing it again in spring. Then I also, and we'll keep it brief, I know it's a busy night, I also put in front of you guys just some of our upcoming events at the museum. So we will be open for Apple Fest. We're excited. We've got some really cool events and activities for the kids and for the adults when they come. And then the other piece that we put in front of you, we've collaborated with the Flat Rock Historical Society last year and again this year for a historical cemetery walk. The walk benefits the restoration of the headstones that are damaged in the cemeteries. So last year, we did Oakwood on Will Carlton and Huron Township. This year, we're doing Oak Forest in Flat Rock. And next year, we will probably look to do a cemetery in Brownstown. So it's a really nice collaborative effort with some of our neighbors in historical organizations. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to come forward? Mr. Bolton,
May I approach?
please do.
I'm here representing on behalf of the Huron Township Rotary. I'm not going to belabor this.
Thank you.
I do want you to. Bill Bolton, I live on Clark Road. Mr. Shank just gave me a little grin because he, of course, is a Rotary member. I put on the back counter copies such as this, and I will put more on the counter up there upon dismissal. I want to make folks aware that might not be, and I guess I'm addressing you as well as the board. The pamphlet is self-explanatory. We do a lot of things. Our numbers are shrinking for one reason or another. Somebody's too busy, somebody passed away. We do a lot of things, and we're always looking for fresh ideas and fresh energy. So I'd like all of you to be aware of the things such as the blood drives, Lako Park Resurrection, community picnics that some of you have attended, Berlin Park Fix Up, twice a year blood drives, and I'm not going to go through the list because it's in there, but we invite you to give us a look. Please take a pamphlet. If when you've done reading it, you pass it on or put it in the drawer or whatever you choose to do, but give it a look and realize that the Rotary members are just ordinary folks. They're us. They're you. And if you could just consider it, stop on by, have a meal on us. No pressure, no push, no sales pitch. That's not right. Have you there. I just want you to be aware of what we do. I'll listen if there's anything, otherwise I'll have a seat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, we are entertaining any comments from any board members before we go into closed session? Treasurer Lazier?
Yeah, I don't know what David was going to, or what he found out about the bridge, but I did call the company that was awarded the bid today and was waiting on their response, and I left a message and no one called me back, so I don't know.
Well, why don't I just interject at this
Okay.
point, if you don't mind. So, as many of you have learned, there has been a lockout. There's a labor dispute that's affecting many projects in the area. The River Rouge Bridge at I-75, 696, I mean, just all these major projects. And of course, our bridge as well. Having said that, our Wayne County Commissioner Al Haddis and is trying his darndest, along with the county executive, to try to work something through here to move this thing along one way or the other. So it's one of these monkey wrenches that totally out of our control, of course, and we're hoping that it'll resolve itself here shortly, but that is where we're at presently.
So, okay, so then the bidder, that's not like a private company, they're all part of the union that's on strike?
Well, it gets a little bit
I
more.
mean, I don't know, I don't understand the whole process.
The workers, so, that's, without a resolution there, the work can't begin. However, they're trying to do a workaround, trying to get the parties to come to agreement and move these very important projects along. Again, we are just one of many important projects that are stalled at the moment, so.
Okay.
But to that end, our county commissioner has been in contact with us on a daily basis and keeping us apprised of what the latest is and if there's gonna be any changes, so that's where we are right now.
Okay. Also, just wanted to remind everybody that taxes are due on Friday without penalty, and we will be open till 5 o'clock.
Trustee Shaw.
I'd like to announce of a business that's recently reopened under Jerry's ownership. Jerry previously had the store on Willow and Waltz Road. He remodeled the store, he brightened it up, he's got an excellent meat selection, and he's open for business. He's hoping the bridge will get fixed soon and traffic will increase.
Of course, the business referred to as Country Pantry, and he's done a marvelous job renovating both inside and outside. It looks great. The inside is fresh and clean, and so encourage everybody to shop locally and patronize your local business people.
Yes, sir, I just wanted to let everybody know that the county's supposed to have the ballots to my office by Friday the 21st. So as long as they show up on time, we hope to get the absentee ballots in the mail the last part of September, the early part of October. So providing we get them from the county, when they say we get them, they will be hitting the mail soon.
There are no other comments. A motion to go into closed session for the purpose of discussing real property acquisition as well as pending litigation is in order.
And that is Huron Township Historical Society versus Huron Charter Township.
Yes, sir, I make that motion.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Lazier,
Yes.
Katie, yes. McLennan,
Yes.
Supervisor Glade,
Yes.
Shot,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Trustee Glade.
Yes.
motion to reconvene the regular sessions in order.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Katie, here. McLennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Glade.
Yes.
Schott.
Yes.
Patterson.
Yes.
Trustee Glade.
Yes.
Lazier.
Yes.
Clerk Katie, you have a motion?
Yes, sir. I'd like to make a motion to approve the purchase of parcel number 75-030-02-0145-000 in the amount of $70,000 and allocate the same amount from the general fund's unassigned fund balance to increase the budget appropriations and expenditures accordingly and amend the 2018 general fund budget.
Second.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Katie.
Yes, sir, I have one more. I'd also like to move to authorize the supervisor to go out for bid to have the structure located on parcel number 75-030-02-0145-000 to be demolished.
Support. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Another motion be in order to adjourn.
A motion to adjourn.
Support.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Everybody have a good evening.